Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Good.
Hot.
What?
Yep, that's the name of the show now. The Good Hot What?
Right on.
Actually, that's our band name.
I like that. We need to make that a thing now.
Lol.
Okay, let's spend 5 years learning how to play some instruments, how to write music, music theory, all that shit.
Dude, I
I'm
took
gonna
choir.
have to
I'm already
spend the
set.
5 years just learning how to keep a rhythm.
Yep.
Fuck, doesn't Dag actually know how to play guitar?
Barely.
Anyways,
works.
welcome to the episode, another episode of the Good Game, guys.
Right?
With your host, Dr.Captain.
Okay, I guess I'll go. Loud kid.
I'm Dag.
Yeah, I'm the NPC.
And that worked just fine.
That's it. I'm breaking the band up.
Alright.
Going home now.
See you later.
You guys just can't appreciate my talent.
Oh, man.
Well, time for me to start my solo band, NPC and the Prescripted Sound Express.
Wow.
He was prepared for that one, dude.
It's alright, now it's my turn to try my hand at acting.
Lol.
I guess I could just go into, like, a VH1 special.
Yeah, wait, yeah. Because Deg's gonna be the one that dies from drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all just accept this. We know for a fact that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
It's sort of a given.
So Dake's gonna hit OD. Who's gonna get shot?
That would probably be me.
Yeah.
Mouth
Like-
off a little too much.
Like some dude just even breaks into the theater you're performing at just to shoot you.
Okay, so between me
my
and
opinions
Captain,
are too
then,
controversial.
who's going to have the successful but relatively safe music career, and who's going to have the experimental and slightly underground music career?
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm going to be stuck on a VH1 special. That's it. That's my claim to fame right there.
What the fuck are we even talking about?
We're talking about the band, dude.
Were you not paying attention to the last 20 years?
I really wasn't.
Okay, now that we're done in the rock and roll fantasy land, how about we get to what's been going on in reality?
What?
Glug glug.
Oh, man.
So how's your week been?
Okay, just one more thing. Shaolin just totally getting us at chat. Yeah, it's not River who's going to be the one that gets shot. It's TKO who got shot. That's
Yeah.
why he's
Oh,
not here
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I can see that. He's going to be the next Biggie Smalls.
Oh, whatever. The guy's the bassist, so we'll just replace him with a mini fridge.
Ow, shade.
Maybe that was the drug-fueled rampage talk.
Okay, okay,
Just
back,
slam a fridge on top of him and leave it there.
get back on track.
Oh, God. Yeah, let's go ahead and get on to how our week has been.
Yeah, you go ahead. I need a moment to recover.
Well, Dag, do you remember how your week has been, or are you too drugged up right now?
What? What?
Dag.
My week has pretty much been a mix between Final Fantasy and World of Warships, and today I jumped onto the free weekend for Civilization Beyond Earth.
Yeah, I just downloaded that myself, actually. I want to give it a shot.
I'm currently on turn 277 of my first game here.
That's what?
You never played
There's-
Civilization before?
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like it has turns like that. That's
Yeah, it's a 4X
Wow.
game for you.
Yeah. It's
like if it's gonna get that high, why bother counting the turns? Why not just count minutes?
because like chess, it's bragging rights to beat it in as few turns as possible.
Yeah, I guess
If
that
you even can at that
makes
point.
sense. All right.
You know, I mean, there's some guy out there that was running a game of Civilization 2 over the course of, like, I don't know, 10 years.
Jesus.
Yeah. But
he pissed off Gandhi and Gandhi couldn't kill him?
Well, Gandhi kills everybody.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not gonna name names, but yeah, I think it was Civ 5. But yeah, there's a Let's Play of Civ 5 out there. They're playing for hours, and then one of them accidentally hits their computer and it crashes the game, like losing all the rest of their footage and the rest of the progress on it.
Oh, God.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever. But yeah, so far, Beyond Earth is a bit less compelling than Civilization 5. And it's, I don't know, like, it just seems like it's more of the same with less of it.
Do you think
Really?
the upcoming content
Odd.
update's gonna fix that? 'Cause I know they're tweaking things soon.
I don't really know enough to say. Like, I've only just been playing my first game. I haven't been doing any research or anything with it.
Well, fair enough.
So
It's
that's
like
it for you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I know what I've been up to.
Uh-oh.
So, Loud Kid, what have you been doing this week? Really? Tell us more about
Is it exciting?
You don't say.
Jesus Christ. Worst
Well-
period, episode period, ever period.
Well, Fallout Shelter did come out for Android yesterday, and I've
yeah.
been doing that like nonstop.
Lol.
So how is it? Is it worth it?
Depends on how invested you are into the game.
Go on.
If you are like actually worried about the status of your vault and your vault dwellers, then you can get a pretty large sense of accomplishment from it, from keeping things together and surviving through tons of rad roaches and raiders. But I guess if you're just playing it like it's Pocket God or something, you're going to end up failing more often than not, and it's not going to be that entertaining.
Yeah, from what I hear, outside the beginning of the game, the gameplay doesn't grow and evolve much. You're pretty much going to be doing the same thing throughout the whole duration.
Yeah, it's just a long wait for more vault dwellers to show up or be bred, and the number of vault dwellers you have unlocks the different rooms that you can build.
Yeah, I was understanding you were starting to get a harem going on in your vault.
A harem? No, not really. There's far less women than there are men.
Oh.
Lol.
You made it sound that way because you kept talking about your fucking pregnant women that weren't doing shit or something like that.
Well, yeah, you gotta get the women pregnant, because otherwise you're gonna be waiting forever for new vault dwellers.
Alright.
Unless you roll really lucky with your first couple of lunch boxes that you get basically for free. Just from completing objectives. But yeah, it's rather entertaining. It's kind of like a smaller scale 2D version of Animal Crossing, I guess. That same sort of gameplay, and that same sort of, you know, oh, I gotta micromanage things so it'll be in tip-top shape at all times. And there are unique vault dwellers that you can get by random chance to stay in your vault. I mean, it's not like they can move away. I don't know if they can. Maybe they do leave if they're unhappy. I've never had anyone that unhappy before. So that's something I could experiment with. So yeah, that's kind of my review on that, I guess. And the only thing new that I've done this week.
You know, you can just throw it to one of us at any time. I have no problem passing the buck. You know, Captain, what'd you do this week?
I was
Fuck
about to do an eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
So I've been going through some more hell,
Lol.
just in personal life.
Well, I don't know if you want to get into it really that much.
I probably
but
won't get onto it too much. Just
all I'm gonna say about this situation is that all three of you are blowing things way out of proportion, and the end result is pretty pleasing.
probably, but
Lol.
it really doesn't help that she can quickly get on my nerves.
Either way, it's a lot. Got a lot more workspace. You can do some pretty interesting things with.
Yeah, true
Just gotta
enough.
believe.
Well, I guess aside from that, been basically trying to figure out how to get the multi-stream going back up again, which, hey, we have up. Woo.
Yep.
So you're listening on Hitbox right now, maybe?
Yeah, let us know what everything looks like and if everything's okay.
Yeah, so far we haven't had any complaints with previous 2 streams that we had where you and I were playing some League, and just last night, Dag and I was playing World of Warships.
Right.
And goddamn, do I really want premium again.
Yeah, you do.
Well, there's something else that you've been playing too,
Uh,
with the NPC sitting behind you.
right. So, I apparently had a really good moment in a new game out there called Dark Nexus.
Is it in beta?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it in beta right now?
It's in closed alpha right
Oh,
now.
wow.
Yeah. Which 3 of us have played. Sadly, River can't really join us because his laptop is shit.
My laptop is a piece of shit. And for those of you who aren't aware, Dark Nexus is a Warhammer 40k MOBA.
I don't know if well, okay, it has the same MOBA feel to it, but it's not like traditional RTS kind of a MOBA. It's actually more akin to like Smash TV, or even like the other game that I can think
is
of.
it like Gauntlet, but like instead of co-op, you're fighting each other?
No, they're still co-op, because it's still 2 teams
It's
against
4v4.
each other.
Well, okay,
so,
but that's what I mean.
Okay. So yeah, we actually went ahead and recorded one of the matches, and
yeah, it's been up since I think since last Saturday. So
I really got into the character I was playing. Like, I had my moment, and if anybody is wondering what the hell I'm talking about, like I said, we have the video up on our YouTube channel. By all means, please check it out.
I don't even know. I'll have to watch it.
13 minutes in.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like 13 minutes, 30 seconds or so.
You might want
It's
to.
basically when Dr.Captain sort of becomes this thing.
You might want to put that time in the description of the video so that way people can just click that and jump to it.
Well, we just said it right now. 13 minutes into it. There you go, folks. If you really want to watch the rest of the video, awesome. That's cool. We appreciate that. But really, that's the part you want to see.
Anyways,
And we were thinking about kind of getting back into it again, maybe this weekend, because
we're definitely gonna get
yeah,
some more of
isn't
it
because there's an event going on right now, isn't there?
yeah, it's a small event via Facebook. You share a post game screen from one of your best game, post it to their Facebook wall or event page, and you can get a chance to win something.
Isn't it like a Berserker skin and
They,
the skin for the Terminator armor?
I'm assuming so. It doesn't explicitly state what you win. Just assuming it's skins because that's the picture they put out.
Either way, I feel the need to appease the blood god.
yeah.
'Cause
Well,
blood for the goddamn blood god.
let me know when I can play as someone who's part of Papa's family.
Oh, you're a plague marine, aren't you?
I could be anything, as long as I am part of Papa's family.
Oh man, I feel like there's a bunch of people out there that don't get the Warhammer memes.
Right.
Did you just unironically use the word memes?
I don't know, did I?
Uh-oh.
Let's not slow things down any further.
Yeah.
I need to kill myself.
It's been a slow enough week as it is. Shit, but yeah, that's definitely something to hope I get another moment. Because they did buff the character.
Everyone got buffs. It was like Oprah with buffs out there,
You get a buff. You get a buff.
except the poor Mega Nub.
Anyway, so that's been my week. Just basically trying to get shit working again and trying out a couple new games. I found a new thing I really want to get into, which I think I have to fund their Kickstarter. If I recall right, it's called Blackwater. And to those out there that are familiar with Guns of Icarus, It's that, only we're actually on wooden ships in the water. And you can actually board the enemy ship. Even shoot back at them with, like, flintlock or muskets, even. I'm
Huh.
deeply fucking interested.
Blackwater Gulch?
Let me look that up real quick.
It's like, but here's my question.
Oh no,
Okay.
Black Wake. That's
Oh,
what it's
okay.
called.
Black Wake?
Yes.
Hey, here's my question though. Can I climb the sails and cut it in half with a knife?
Fuck if I know, but I sure as hell hope.
That's the point where I'll play, is when I can do that.
You gotta repair that shit. Anyway, so moving right along, Dan.
I've been doing kind of a lot with games, just playing a little bit of everything. Been messing around a lot in Splatoon, having ranked battles and that pissing me off. Been getting back into my Disgaea playthrough, but the grind is real. Picked up a couple of games that were on sale this week, including I bought a 4-pack for 100% orange juice, if anyone knows what that is.
What?
No.
Going to have to give those out and punish my friends with it. Like I said before, it's basically the friendship ruining fun of Mario Party, but with online multiplayer.
Nope, I'm not accepting it.
But you gotta.
Nope.
What's the matter, chicken?
Yeah, fine. I'm chicken. I don't want to do it.
Well,
Call me whatever the fuck you want. I'm not gonna do it.
You betray McFly.
I was just about to call him McFly. God damn it.
Well, he's not McFly. He just accepted being chicken.
Well, that was the point. If you call him McFly, then he won't stand for it.
Well, McFly eventually had to accept the fact of being called chicken. That was the whole point of part 3.
Oh, yeah, other than that, yeah.
Nah.
Anyway, we played that. We played the Dark Nexus Arena last weekend. Got some duo queue with Dr.Captain in the middle of this week.
Holy shit, how the
And
fuck did we win those matches?
by being skilled.
No, there's more to it than just that. Those are ranked.
By being skillier. I don't know. What else? No, that covers it, I think. But I'm going to force someone into 100% orange juice, so we could play around, not know what the hell we're doing, and then play another round and ruin each other's lives.
1, 2, 3, not it.
lol.
What?
Not it.
Okay.
Don't question it, just say not it.
Not it.
Dag, you're it.
I'm what? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
He's refusing free games, so you get one.
Dig's
Okay.
not here, man.
I'll take one. Liv.
Oh, man.
I was too busy looking at the Black Wake Kickstarter.
I know, right? Doesn't it look fun?
It, I guess. Basically looks like Battlefield piracy.
Yeah, kinda.
Well, the chat, apparently Neon White this week's been playing Witcher 3. Finished the game with clocked in at 365 hours. It's like, that's a lot, but then I kind of remember before I restarted Pokemon Pearl, I had 495 hours in that.
What
And
the hell is 100% orange juice?
I've played a Digimon game where I actually maxed out the time clock on it,
Oh,
so I was stuck at 999 hours.
Alrighty.
Okay, enough of this weeb shit.
You're a weeb.
Well, anyway, that kind of covers how we've been our week, and yeah, not too terribly impressive, sorta.
I am a poor man.
Helpless man. So let's go ahead and get on to the stories that we have, and I'll be honest with you folks, we got some small stuff. It's another one of those really slow summer weeks. So
Right.
It's the heat, man.
I'm pretty sure Gamescom has something to do with it too. It's not just the heat. So, a couple things that we have right here. We got a couple updated stories from last week's stories that we brought up. I want to think we brought up the Dinkelberg
Yeah, we
last
did.
week. Anyway, So, basically, what I'm hinting at is there's now an explanation as to why Peter Dinklage is being replaced in Destiny. Well, apparently, it turns out he didn't really have time to show up for sessions, which is kind of interesting.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's honestly it's something I think Bungie and Activision should have thought of if they wanted to keep supporting this character throughout their expansions. I mean, they had to realize that Peter Dinklage is more than a voice actor. I mean, I can't even call him a voice actor. I mean,
Right.
he's got Game of Thrones. He was in Pixels recently. Like, I don't know how early he was in development, but he was in X-Men not too long ago. He's got a lot of work. I don't know
Right.
what they expected.
He's like the most famous little person.
Yeah, like they said, we got a quote from. Gotta move this to get the name. Yeah, Mark Noseworthy. He said that, they replaced him with Nolan. He's a voice actor. This is his thing. He knows how to be available for parts and how to when he has time to record lines.
Well, sure. I mean, that's sort of the big deal. When you're going to hire someone like Peter Dinklage, you have to work around his schedule. When you're going to hire someone like Nolan North, you can call him up and be like, "Hey, we're going to do this in a week. We need you to be there."
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good answer. I don't honestly think they needed to give an answer. It's
No.
unless they really just want to defend Peter Dinklage.
probably. I mean, he has been getting some huge ridicule for his role in Destiny.
Yeah, then even the best actors should stand to scrutiny.
Hmm.
Think about we don't forgive Bill Murray for Garfield.
Well,
we don't let him forget.
Why
that.
would you bring that up? I actually forgot, you asshole.
we don't for?
Uh.
But anyway,
No.
moving on.
No.
Moving
Get
right
on
along.
with it.
So our next little thing right here is an update, and I guess this is going to be the end-all, done-with-it kind of deal when it comes to Silent Hills, because Del Toro has officially come out and said he doesn't really want to do anything more with games. Just there's got to be some string of bad luck to him, because his first encounter with it was signing up with THQ, and yeah. Let's reflect on a moment. What happened to THQ again?
Yeah, THQ went broke. Then he joins up with Konami, and Konami goes crazy.
Yeah.
well, he joined up with Kojima, and then Kojima left Konami.
Because Konami went crazy.
Right.
Either way, it doesn't look like Del Toro is going to be working on any video game project in the foreseeable future. Like,
He says, "I have decided in order not to destroy anyone else's life, I will never again get involved in video games. Otherwise, I'll join someone and his house will explode or something."
yeah, so I had the word from the man himself. Don't look forward to Silent Hills being revived anytime soon.
Which really sucks all around, because it really isn't his fault. He just joined some pretty shitty companies.
But I remember Del Toro and Kojima still said that they're friends with each other and they still want to collaborate on stuff.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
So that makes me think if Del
Metal Gear
Toro's not
movie's
going to
gonna
do
happen?
another video game, then Kojima's going to be doing movies.
Now, reading between the lines on this, it could just be interpreted that the way things have gone, he just doesn't like working with video game developers or publishers. That projects can get canceled a lot easier than movies can.
That's
yeah.
true.
Oh yeah.
He's got a lot more expertise in managing movies than he does video games.
Right. It just sounds more like he's not able to deal with the volatility.
Yeah.
Of the industry in general.
Hey, hopefully he does consider at least opening up like a Kickstarter project for a game.
Who knows?
Because I still stand by one of the greatest things would have been awesome, the fact that he was working with Silent Hills, because he can bring in some awesome character designs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point of Silent Hill, is to just see all the different monsters that affect the main character.
Well, on the bright side, we've still got Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah, okay. Is that actually going to have the Godzilla crossover?
Oy vey.
I doubt it. But from what I hear, it's supposed to delve more into the origin of the kaiju, though.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're going to go to like the kaiju's home planet or whatever. They're going to have like some cyborg kaiju that they pilot.
I just know that there was some huge like fan push to have like a Godzilla and Pacific Rim crossover after the new Godzilla movie came out.
Maybe later. I don't know.
I'd support it. Who wouldn't? Who hates awesome things out there? Raise your hand right now. We'll shoot you dead on sight.
Movie
It just seems
studios.
silly.
Movie studios hate awesome things when it doesn't give them money.
Let's shoot them on sight.
Oh, yeah, movie studios hate crossovers now.
Yeah.
Except for Marvel, but that could be a technicality
That's because they're throwing Sony money.
Avengers is already a crossover to begin with.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, that's Disney funding it.
Yep.
Next on our list, since we decided to go ahead and delve into the whole Konami situation.
Okay, spoilers, hashtag fuck Konami.
Yeah, I want this to be an actual thing. Hashtag fuck Konami. Please, chat room, join us in on this.
What?
I don't know, they seem to be functioning very well as a company.
Fuck right off. So, the reason why we're kind of getting into Konami right now is that the whole situation is their profits apparently are going up thanks to mobile gaming.
And cancellations of other projects.
Yeah.
Which would include Silent Hills.
Silent Hills, maybe even sort of Castlevania. Like, I know it hasn't been released if they were ever working on a new Castlevania game, but I don't know. I'm willing to blame them just because of that pachinko machine.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I had to remind you of that one, didn't I?
It's just fucking weird, man.
Oh. I didn't know that. That would actually make a lot of sense. Apparently, Konami actually owns Disney Zoom Zoom.
What the hell is Zoom Zoom?
It's a mobile match 3 game with Disney characters. So
I
something
haven't
like
even
that.
seen that advertised
Something
anywhere.
like that's going to print money. So yeah. Again, it's one of those things that kind of sells on name alone.
Yeah,
You don't need the advertising. Yeah, that makes sense for why their mobile profits are up. But
So they managed to get in bed with Disney. I see. That's where it all happened.
At the same time,
Disney is the king of capitalism.
yeah, it's sad to see them cancel all their major projects, but at the same time, this comes at a time where Metal Gear Solid 5 reportedly has a huge budget. They're probably expecting big returns on that to make that up.
Well, considering it's supposed to be like what, the final game in the series? Oh no, right. It's the final Kojima game. Konami's still gonna try and make more of them.
Maybe they've just lost their taste for big projects like that.
Yeah, why bother? Especially when, they make so much money in the gambling industry.
Microtransactions.
And the mobile industry.
Microtransactions.
Speaking of mobile and microtransactions.
Yeah, so this one you brought to my attention, Dan, where there was actually going to be a Final Fantasy mobile game that was originally going to be free to play, but now they decided to change it to a premium deal.
It's not specifically a Final Fantasy game, but it's by the writer of a couple of the Final Fantasies.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a JRPG from Square.
I'll admit, I glossed over this one.
It's
not from
It's
Square
not
Enix?
owned by Square Enix. It's created by Kobajo Studio, which was created by one of the original Final Fantasy writers. Again, an interesting twist in the industry. Decided that his game is more suited as a purchasable premium title rather than a free-to-play title with microtransactions.
Oh, there's probably still going to be microtransactions.
Yeah, that hasn't really stopped other games before, to be honest.
Yeah, if it was originally supposed to be a free-to-play game, there's definitely still going to be microtransactions.
Well, I don't know about microtransactions, but the article says that he will be supporting it with continual downloadable content. So there'll be more stuff to pay for, but who knows if it's pay $1.99 for a free Phoenix Down. I just realized I said free in there.
You did, in fact.
I am an oxymoron.
Well, no, it's free. It's just got an asterisk on it, which leads to a bunch of legal text.
Moving right along.
Free and in-game currency.
So the other little small thing that we have here is that I think Witcher 3 is actually kind of trying to jump in on the whole bringing mods over to the console systems, which sounds cool. but it doesn't look like they'll be able to, release anything just yet.
Yeah, it's something that they're looking into.
Right. I mean, the mod tools aren't available yet. I mean, they only just announced plans to offer them on the PC version. They're saying that they could make their way to the Xbox One and the PS4, but there are technicalities sort of currently preventing
Yeah.
them.
I would say don't put any stock into it until after Fallout 4 does it.
Yeah,
Right.
they're in works to figure it out, but yeah, I don't see it happening before Fallout 4. I don't even see it happening before the end of the year, to be honest.
Well,
Right.
yeah, Fallout 4, the console mod stuff isn't going to be till next year.
Exactly. It'd be cool to see them pull through with that, because that would be only the second game in recent memory that would allow mods across all platforms.
Would be impressive. We'll just have to wait and see.
Our next little thing that we have here sort of catches my interest. And I know this isn't the official name of the product, but this is what I'm just calling it, the Steam Boy.
Lol.
But that's an anime movie.
Shut up. It's the name of this thing now, too.
Oh, it's better
No.
than the Smock Zero.
Yeah, I know. How the fuck are you supposed to pronounce that bullshit?
I'm calling it the Smock Zero because Smash Zero sounds ridiculous.
But anyway, I'm sure people are confused at what we're talking about. We're talking about a portable Steam device now
Yeah,
that has been
it's-
released.
It's the Steam OS handheld.
Right. They're gonna launch it the end of next year.
Let's
Launch
see.
in Q4 of 2016.
Yep.
Yeah.
With pre-sale starting at November 10th. Most
Right.
likely 2016. Although it could be this November. We don't know.
Apparently, it says the pre-order cost is $299. The company states that this price is only for pre-orders and it will cost more if you wait until later to buy it.
Right.
What kind of weird shit is that?
Well, they got to build anticipation for production costs. 'Cause that's what pre-orders are good for. You get the money so you know what to expect, so you can ship that many units.
I'm kind of wondering how often you have to replace this thing, especially with like a new game always coming out that, meets the requirements of the next graphics card.
Well,
There's no way in hell you
let's,
could swap out parts for this thing, is there?
I don't know if it's going to be moddable or not.
Well,
We'll have
let's
to look into
let's
that.
hold out. Let's see if this is successful before we think about if they're gonna need an upgraded version. Either way, it sounds kind of cool, like the Linux version of the PS Vita. I mean, even if the hardware is going to be outdated, you've still got the Steam OS running, meaning you're most likely going to be able to stream games from your PC to the device.
I was
so
just
you can
gonna
play
say
it
it does specify that it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity, so
Okay,
you'll
that's fair,
probably
yeah.
be streaming a lot of your games.
But yeah, don't expect.
Besides
to be,
which, it also has 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and as has been reported before, the Steam OS is very light. It's not very memory intensive.
yeah, I wouldn't be expecting it to be a good standalone device because it only has 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal space, and runs at 720p. You're not going to be playing like Witcher 3 or Fallout 4 on this very easily.
Still, 720p on a fucking handheld is great.
Yeah, definitely make a lot of low budget titles look good, and like I said, if you've got the Steam OS streaming, it'll work great for you if you're into that sort of thing.
I'm sure there's some like technophile out there that's into it.
Yeah, $300 price tag is kind of steep. It's going to be even more post-launch, so that's scary.
Well, it's basically a tiny computer at this point.
So since we brought up Steam, there's actually been some drama going on with a particular title that was released on Steam.
Oh,
How long
no.
ago?
I think it was a week or two ago.
Yeah, Journey of the Light, which promoted itself as supposed to be a very difficult puzzle game.
It touted itself as being the most impossible to beat puzzle game on Steam.
Because it literally is impossible.
Yeah, savvy players who looked through the files found the level files for each game and found out that every level is a copy of the first level, which in and of itself is unbeatable. Like, even the supposed solution to said level just spawns you back at the first level.
Lol.
Mm-hmm.
And the scam gets worse from there because the developer has touted that the game will be difficult and hard to play, and there'll be a single clue at the beginning of each level, and other clues will be available through the Steam trading cards, which coincidentally
You
aren't
can only-
available till after you play 2 hours in the game.
Yep.
Therefore, breaking the Steam refund policy, which Steam fired back and gave a no questions asked refund for this game because of that.
Wow.
And since all this, the developer himself has gone onto the game's page saying that it was a shipping error that caused all these levels to be exactly the same. And due to illness and stress, he's gonna have to take a break before he can come in and fix it.
A shipping error.
Yeah, he shipped the wrong build. Apparently a build that has all the same one level.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a fustercluck.
It sounds like grade A bullshit to me, and glad that Steam is on the consumer side.
They've been getting on there after like the whole refund policy's been kicking in, dude.
Yeah, I know. Their customer service is steadily becoming the best in the video game industry.
Not even then, like, you know, all those naysayers that say like the whole second game crash is going to be coming because of the flood of indie games. I think right now the Steam refund policy has actually just set that back. I'm not saying it's still not going to come, but dude, this definitely helped like delay it.
There's not going to be a second video game crash unless the economy itself crashes.
Was that the case with the first video game crash?
No. That was just unpopular opinion, but it's too ingrained in our society now as a staple choice for entertainment.
Regardless,
There's always going to be people going to it.
Either way, I don't think the early access / crowdfunding culture of game development is helping anything.
Oh, of course
Like,
not.
I'm just not a big fan of the concept of paying people to put a product out before it's even out.
Yeah.
Like, I understand paying for services before they're done, but paying for products before they're done is just stupid.
Which admittedly I'm a victim of, and I see the problem there, but I try my best to at least be very selective.
Yeah, when it comes to the market, I don't have a lot of good faith and credit. That's just me. Next.
Sorry, I was just checking out the chat room. But we'll go ahead and bring up our next story, which kind of gets into League of Legends right now, which is currently shifting their servers over to the East Coast.
Well, I'm leaving.
Oh boy.
Shifting them to Chicago.
Well, that's technically still the East Coast when we're dealing with
No. No.
NA servers.
What?
Look, Dag, this is how it works. There's NA West and there's NA East, okay? There's no such thing as NA Central.
Wow. You just said Chicago was on the East Coast, dude.
Somebody failed geography.
No, I just laid it out, dude. That's how it works out when it comes down to the U.S. servers.
Okay, so
We're
we're
still talking about League of Legends.
so is Texas West or East?
Texas doesn't exist. They
it's
seceded.
West.
Let me ask, Georgia is the East Coast too, right? And Louisiana,
Are they touching Florida?
Because that would be gay.
Alabama's East Coast.
No.
Michigan's definitely East Coast, right?
Oh, man. But still, they're
Any
definitely
case-
moving the server to accommodate more to the East Coast players. So,
Well, it's
yeah,
not,
us West Coast people are
it's-
fucked.
It's not
Oh.
gay unless the Louisiana's touch.
Yeah, in a move to balance the discrepancy in latency, Riot Games has decided to move their central servers from Portland, Oregon to Chicago, Illinois.
Making them actually central.
Yeah, their goal has been stated to get every player on the North American servers to under 80 ms, which this will do.
Right.
Players on the East Coast will go down to 40 to 60 ms on average. But the backlash here is that where that used to be the standard for the for the West Coast is now moving up to around 50 to 80 ms based on their hypotheses and measurements.
Sure.
This isn't going to be enacted for a few weeks still, but a lot of pro players and a lot of people who think they're pro players have been voicing their opinions on Twitter and other social media outlets.
Which, to be
Only a
fair,
pro player.
Right.
Which, to be fair, I kind of have to side with them a little bit because a lot of them made the move over here just so they can still, compete in the big leagues.
That's their own damn fault, honestly.
Yeah. Like,
Well-
all these people are joking, what's the rent like in Chicago? Like, to be honest, they're going from having the balance where East Coast or West Coast had 40 ms, where the East Coast had up to 120 ms, to balancing out to below 80 for everybody. It was a good business move. They want to make it more enjoyable for more people, not make it more optimized for a select group of pro players.
This also makes me wonder if we'll ever see the tournaments held at Staples Center again.
It's possible they've got to shift it around. Maybe they'll see it on the East Coast sometime. But
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I'm sure enough people play it, and enough of our fans have opinions on it. So, if you have an opinion different from ours about the League of Legends server move, why don't you call us up on our Skype? We've got the buttons.
You can also, if for whatever reason you're phobic of buttons, just, add Good Game Guys 1. That's the Skype account.
Buttons are terrible. Don't click the button. Well, no, okay.
No,
if
we
the,
want them to click
if the
buttons.
button consents, then you can click it. But
Jesus Christ. Did you really?
maybe.
So holy
Dude.
shit, really, Doug? You're saying saying it's their fault that they made the move over here?
Well, nobody else moved them for them. What? Of
It
course
was a
it's their
conscious
fault.
decision to move to the West Coast to be
Well,
close.
okay, hang on.
Like,
Cause,
hey, hang on. We're gonna go ahead and move to follow these game servers. Now the game servers are changing locations, and we're gonna complain about having to follow the servers again? How about no? Get the fuck out. We don't want you here anyway.
but we're talking about the professional player. Like, sure, Dan even
All
brought
10
up
of
like,
them?
oh come on, don't be like that, dude. Come the fuck on.
How many pro league players live on the West Coast?
All of them, almost all of them, because that's another problem I think this is going to solve.
There's what, like 10 teams of people?
Yeah, a lot of the North American teams have said that because of the high latency, there is no East Coast scene for competitive League of Legends. With this, we'll actually see some teams grow out of the East Coast and stay there, rather than, hey, I've reached Challenger despite having 120 ms. I'm gonna get into this tournament and move to California.
Right, and now it's going to be more even ground for everyone. I don't see how this is a bad thing.
It's like people that like their, people that like the old guard, the solo
But, like,
mids, the
keeping their
CLGs,
advantage.
the teams that people have followed for so long, the ones that are all over here that are getting mad about it. Those are the people who care.
Well, right, but they
And-
need
and
to
I'm
get
not-
over
and I'm not
themselves.
saying,
the
like-
competition is stagnating.
And
Like,
I'm not
they
saying-
need new blood in the tournaments.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly not saying I don't think it's that big of a bad thing. What I'm saying, however, is just I'm sympathetic towards the people that feel that they got a little bit shafted, especially when we start talking about the pro players that just had to move over here to get into it.
Well, they can move again. They're making money playing video games for a living. I have no sympathy for these people. Aside from that, it's cheaper to live in Chicago than it is in LA.
Yep.
Fucking sounds like a win-win to me.
Well, all right, I can't argue against that.
I'll just let time tell. See if the North American competitive scene grows. I mean, honestly, I think we do need some new blood. I mean, we haven't had a North American team win in like ever.
Oh, I could point out why too, especially with season 3. Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
Yeah. No, on a worldwide scale, the North American scene is a joke, to be honest. Okay, if you disagree with me, feel free to call in.
Right.
But yeah, we gotta move on from this.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and move on. by all means, let me know when you want to chat. We'll open up the lines near the end of the show. So, here's my hype. Now, originally when this first came out, Capcom was asking about people if they would be totally interested in a Resident Evil 2 HD remake, which I posted up on our Facebook to that link to a straw poll. And by all means, I'm for it. Let's fucking do it. It's happening, folks. We're gonna get ourselves a fucking HD remake of one of the best Resident Evil titles out there.
Okay.
Can they instead innovate and give us a new good Resident Evil instead of having to rely on the old good Resident Evil?
So
Can we get a good one that's modern?
So here, hang on. Let me stop you there for a second and ask you, what'd you think of 5 and 6?
Yeah, I didn't like 5 at all, to the point where I didn't even give 6 a try.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And I played through both of them, and I'll admit they're subpar as hell. Maybe 6 more so. Like, I can deal with 5 because at least it offers some closure to the whole situation with Wesker, seeing as how he's basically in control of Umbrella at this point. Well, not anymore. Spoiler.
Well, you know, assuming you had a useful co-player with you, because the AI was just derp.
Dude, I managed with the AI. I don't know what everyone's problem is with the AI. Like, I somehow speak to them. They know what I need them to do.
But yeah, they need to innovate instead of rehashing the same old shit over and over again, and it's kind of Capcom's deal.
Yeah,
They're just gonna keep rehashing the same old bullshit.
Yeah, if you want anyone to blame this year's Resident Evil HD. It's one of their best-selling games in a while. They've seen what the fans want, and fans want classic Resident Evil, so rather than trying to make another classic Resident Evil, they're going to go back and remake 1, and remake 0, and remake 2.
Right.
Like, hopefully they'll stop before they decide to remake 3. Like,
I don't know. I could see Nemesis being alright.
It's like nothing against the game, but 3 HD remakes is enough.
Yeah, alright.
It's like, I already hate the console generation of HD remasters.
3 HD remakes is just too much.
I mean, like, every time I hear about a game being remastered for Xbox One or PS4, I have to sigh a little bit.
Looks like Shayo's got a question for you in the chat. So she's wondering just why stop at Resident Evil 3. Well, I think Dan did kind of fairly explain it. Like,
yeah, it's just mostly after remaking 1, 0, and 2, I think that's just enough in terms of remastering. 3 would just be overkill in terms of putting out remasters.
and just to clarify, like, he's not saying 3 was a horrible game. 3 was fun. But again, it's just gonna reach that point where it's all like, I would even be on Deg's side at that point, saying, can we just get a better new Resident Evil title? Like, let's get an awesome Resident Evil 7 coming our way. Come on, Capcom.
So,
I mean, Capcom has proven that they can't really do anything right recently.
Actually, all right. Now, to be fair though, Shay was saying that Resident Evil 2 isn't just a remaster; it's actually a full-on remake, like with what they did with the first Resident Evil title.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
I mean, that's fair. It's a remake, so I don't know. Does that kind of change the opinion a little bit?
No.
Not really. It's going to be the same game in spirit.
It's a retcon.
It's like they could turn it into a full third-person shooter. It's still going to play out the same way.
Right. I mean, like, are they remaking it and rewriting the story? Is there going to be new stuff involved, or is it basically the same old stuff with prettier assets?
If it's going to be anything like the original first Resident Evil remake, it's going to be some of the same assets, but with new stuff added to it as well at the same time.
And stuff moved around.
So it's fresh even to the veterans.
I can imagine they're going to implement the thing they did with Resident Evil HD, though, and give you the option to switch to modern controls.
Probably.
It's like, I wouldn't... I don't
I wouldn't
think it would
wish
be a
tank
complete-
controls on anyone.
Why?
It's terrible.
Speaking of tank controls,
Oh, God.
where's my Tomb Raider remake? It's like, when are they gonna go do that?
moving right along. Before I move right along, dude, all I gotta say, Dino Crisis. Now we're moving right along.
Dino Crisis is timeless, though.
So, some drama going on with Grand Theft Auto. Apparently, some modders actually found a way to create their own server, which Rockstar officially has said they don't really like, so they started banning people that have been using this program.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's the harm?
Well, there was something that I heard where it came down to
Well, I guess
people could use this to play multiplayer pirated.
Oh, okay. So you can like cheese the experience system and things like
Yeah,
that.
there's been a lot of rumors floating around, like users being banned for using it, and the supposed reason the creators have gotten in trouble is because it taps into Rockstar social network to check for anti-piracy. The creators have thus confirmed in an update, though, that only two of them have been banned for it, and their mod does not use Rockstar Social Club in that way.
Mm.
So, and yeah, I believe Rockstar put out an official statement about this 5M mod.
Yeah, their official statement on is that it clearly is in breach and violation of their policy with the terms of service and all that jazz. So, they're pretty much putting their foot down, basically saying that they don't really want this. Which
Alright.
I guess I can kind of see in this instance. Like, I'm all for single player mods, but I always worry when I hear about multiplayer mods.
Yeah, that is their big reason, though, is that it facilitates piracy, and that the exact fact it doesn't require you authenticating through Rockstar Social Club to play 5M for online multiplayer. So you can take a pirated copy of GTA 5 and just jump in.
I will say though, I do kind of hope that maybe these guys will work with Rockstar to make the mod more what's the word compatible with their terms of service.
Maybe, but you'd have to fill me in, though. What is it about the Rockstar Social Club that makes you want to have this alternative multiplayer as opposed to GTA Online?
To be honest, I really don't have that big of an issue with Rockstar Social.
It's like, I want to know, it's like, what does GTA Online do that 5M doesn't?
I couldn't tell you. I don't use 5M, and I haven't the plan to.
If anyone out there knows anything about that, please chime in.
So, our next thing kind of deals with a little bit of Nintendo drama. So I guess we can go ahead and get into. We were kind of debating on getting into this. Folks out there may have heard that a representative from Nintendo was actually fired because of some comments that he said on another podcast show. Not really like ours, maybe. I don't know. Could be. But anyway, yeah, so long story short, I haven't listened to the podcast that he was featured on, and I really should have, but sadly I couldn't find it. But anyway, what was it that he initially said that got him in trouble? Because from what I understand, like, people have been sort of defending Nintendo here because of non-disclosure agreements, but at the same time they're saying like the action they made may have been too far.
Yeah, he said something way off the cuff that is kind of a big PR problem. Chris Pranger is a localization editor for the Nintendo Treehouse at Nintendo of America, and he was asked on this Part-Time Games podcast about the localization process, and the "why does Nintendo hate money" argument came up, and he was very frank and very candid about it, said that it's like the fans that bring this up think they're in the right, and they don't realize that they're not as big of a fan base as they think they are. That a lot of these games that people want localized would end up being published at a cost because the audience just isn't there. It's like he even mentioned specifically Xenoblade Chronicles was a game they put out due to high fan demand, and Nintendo ended up having to take a loss on it, so it didn't sell well at all. Even it's like they've since re-released it on 3DS. I don't know how that one sold, but yeah, that's probably the biggest anger point there is, yeah, you people don't make up a big enough group to be profitable. It's not something anyone wants to hear, to be honest. Like,
Well,
I think he's right, but at the same time, he shouldn't be saying stuff like that as a representative of Nintendo. Like, because any developer will be will go along the lines of, if we hear enough from people, we'll consider it a possibility. They're not going to go out and say, no, you guys are only like 3,000 people. We're not going to publish a game for just you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it.
yeah. And again, I kind of look more at the aftermath of the situation and say it kind of sucks that he lost his job. He's totally understanding of the situation. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he totally understands, like, he broke that NDA. And, you know, just overall, I think the whole termination just sucks. Because, hey, especially at this time of age, try finding another job. I dare you.
Yeah, well, I know it's a troll account or something, but the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter apparently sent him some message as a consolation about it.
Wow.
Like, I haven't looked up what it said because it's the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter. It's pretty much a troll account.
It really is.
It's a meme dispensing gift from the Sega gods.
Apparently, it's fully aware of Chris Chan.
Oh yeah.
As an aside, I wonder what they think about Sonic Dreams Collection.
Oh, God. Someone tweeted to him.
I think they're aware.
That's true.
Yeah. Sad to see Pranger leave, but at the same time, you gotta own up to your mistakes, buddy.
Alright, so moving right along, and we have our 2 stories here. Then we'll go ahead and open up with your phone calls to folks out there that wanted to chime in. And then we'll finish off with our fun little story. So we have Peter Moore from EA, who's been kind of going off saying quite a few things, actually.
It's been saying a lot of silly nonsense.
Which one do we want to start with?
Let's start with the one EA's known best for.
Okay, so let's start talking about how he's saying that people that are complaining about on-disc content is nonsense, just essentially.
On-disc DLC. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, he's trying to make the argument of, well, you guys don't know where I'm standing, so it makes sense why we would have on-disc content. And I've gone through this thing, and I haven't really seen that great of an argument for it.
Yeah, he said, like, it's hard to find the credibility in what he's saying, but he's basically throwing back the age-old argument. Well, people assume that they can have everything that's on the disc, and they assume it's stuff we've cut from the game to release later for a premium.
Which is a fair assumption in most cases. I mean, this is practice.
And again, paraphrasing again, he's saying that it's basically you don't know about the way the industry has evolved and how many people they have working on projects. They've got the game out and they've got DLC plans already planned out. Basically, the stuff people see on disc that's locked there until the DLC becomes available is basically the groundwork that allows them to put their monetization program into practice.
Yeah, it's in some small cases like day one DLC.
Yeah.
That it's a legitimate issue, but
I think honestly, he just fails to see the problems that a lot of people are turned off by the idea of companies having day one monetization practices, in that they have downloadable content ready when the game launches.
I'm trying to find the quote that he had, that he mentioned season passes. Let's see, because where the hell was it? Because in this article he made a comment towards, you know, the day one not early access, but the day one DLC and season passes, kind of just going on to say that they. Oh fuck! Hang on, I'm trying to find this. Stall for time, guys.
What?
Well, Dag, I don't know. What do you think about this overall? I mean, you've been
In
kind
any
of
case,
quiet
more
there.
stress to GameSpot that DLC and season passes were a key element of keeping players continually engaged and spending money on the smaller number of games released these days. Okay, that's changing the argument. That doesn't have anything to do with the main point.
Yeah, and you can
So
keep
the guy is sort of experienced at deflecting, but I don't see the corollary.
I must have misread it when I first saw it because
Yeah,
I
I
remember
said
he
he-
was kind of just
Correlation. Sorry.
what I remember, or at least how I interpreted anyway, when the first time I read through it, was just trying to make the argument that again, season passes actually are something that will help continue to fund the life of a game.
Yeah,
Oh
Moore,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Moore says here that he says that they do have teams working on development. They usually have a 40 to 50 man team specifically working on DLC for a game. And yeah, it's like in his 8-year tenure, things have changed. EA used to put out like 70 games per year. Now it's down to 12 because these big games do so much more for them that they can support with DLC practices and stuff. But at the same time, you can keep updating a game with additional content that you don't have to charge for. Like, there's nothing written in stone that says you have to create new content to keep your game alive. And there's nothing to say you have to charge for things to keep your game alive.
Console gaming says otherwise.
Nintendo says otherwise otherwise. Again, I've been playing Splatoon a lot this week, and they've been continuously pumping new content into the game, none of which is paid DLC.
Sure, but wouldn't it be fair to say that's the exception to the rule so far that's been established with a lot of these AAA developers?
Well, yeah, it's exception to the rule in the industry, but it's proof that you can extend the life of the game without having to charge people for it. I mean, PC gaming, such as online multiplayer, used to be like that. It's like, again, he is deflecting and justifying their current business model. Nobody's going to believe him.
Sure, but there are a number of different aspects as to why there's content on the disc that you don't directly have access to, be it yet or will not ever. There are a number of different standpoints. There's a lot of people that get kind of butt mad when they have already purchased the disc and everything on it they feel belongs to them, while at the same time there are instances where they have to lay down groundwork for future work and have it available on the disc.
Yeah. That's what he was referencing in the article.
There are a number of different scripting engines where if you don't have an asset on the disc, you basically have to recompile the entire goddamn game, which can't really happen on a disc-based media. Once it's compiled and burned on there, it's there in its current form.
Yeah.
A number of different games, especially with newer consoles and on the PC, etc., where they practically install the entire game to the hard drive and just utilize the disc as a security check anyway, like an anti-piracy check. It's more feasible to say that you could just download an update and it could recompile game files on the drive. But there's a number of schools of thought, and there are just too many arguments to have open about it, either for or against. When this was an original thing, that's when people should have been up in arms. This has been going on for years and years and years, and now it's so much a part of many different game engines in their entirety. It's like, you just can't change it. You have to live with it. Again, vote with your wallet. If you don't want to see that sort of shit happening, don't buy the games where you know that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and quickly go through the other quote that we have here from him on a completely unrelated story. Because we are kind of getting people wanting to call in. So we'll definitely add you right after this, where Peter Moore actually has openly stated his opinion on the whole Kojima-Konami situation. It says that, Kojima and Konami really need to kiss and make up.
Yeah, he says that from his experience with working in Japan, that they'll find a way to work it out.
It doesn't sound that way.
That wasn't Peter Molyneux. That was Peter Moore.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we said, Peter Moore.
Yeah, I didn't hear Molyneux.
Yeah.
I could have swore I heard him say Molyneux.
Fans, what do you think he said?
I like the way he says this though. Clearly, Kojima and Konami are at a rocky stage in their marriage. He could take what's said about Kojima Productions, about a game not adhering to budgets, about a game not being ready, and apply that to a lot of people. I
Yeah.
find that funny. It's like, at the same time, when some people hit a rocky state in their marriage, they do divorce. Other people find a way to work it out if they see something in each other. But Konami and Kojima have both been tight-lipped about this. We probably won't know anything about what's really going to happen in their futures
To be fair-
until Phantom Pain.
To be
actually
fair,
makes-
Konami's actions have spoken a lot louder than anything they could ever say. And
Yeah.
their actions have said, fuck video games, we're going to gambling and mobile. Hashtag fuck Konami. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and head over to the calls real quick. Let's go ahead and add Ikari over here.
Oh, look. It's that guy.
That guy. Hey, you remember that guy a couple weeks ago? We had him as a guest host.
Right?
Hey, Ikari.
What's up?
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
So, in regard to the whole DLC on disc, Day kind of stole my thunder on this, as he is wont to do, because he is a that type of individual.
Right.
The problem is with regard to laying groundwork. The problem is that a lot of what game companies will do is, and I'll give you a perfect example of this after the fact, is they will add content that they're not even sure they're going to release.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Depending on whether or not the game is successful or not. The best example I can give of this was back, we're going to set the Wayback Machine to 1997 when Pokemon Red and Blue came out. By the time they finished the game and took out the debugging programs and subroutines and whatnot, they found that they had enough space to add one more Pokemon. Enter Mew. They didn't even know if they were going to release, if it was going to be a thing. They just added it in for the sake of adding it in.
Yeah.
And in their case, they weren't even going to release it unless the game was a resounding success, which, lo and behold, a golden calf was born. A lot of games will do stuff like this, where they will add in new content. And by the way, and mind you, I'm not defending or anything. I'm just explaining.
No, sure, by all means.
They will implement new groundwork and whatnot. Not sure if they're going to use it or not. Depending on if the game falls flat on its face. I'm looking at you, Watch Dogs. Versus, and if it does, well, hey, that's great. We've got, some little rinky-dink DLC that we could charge them like $1.99 or $2.99 or something like that for. But what it also does is enable them to have a groundwork, a structure, if you will, to build upon, use for further content. Having said that, absolutely vote with your wallets. And again, Dag was spot on when he said the time for outrage should have been
a while ago.
Was far, 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 far and away long ago. I mean, I still remember the first time I heard about DLC for a game, and I'm like, they did what?
It's like, you mean expansion pack?
Exactly. It's like, you mean they made a sequel? No, it's not a sequel. It's well, what the hell is it? Well, it's more. I'm like, but I already bought that. Should I get to have that? Well, no. Well, F you. I'm going back to the arcade and playing, Street Fighter 2 Tournament Edition.
Pretty much. I mean, like, when DLC was first becoming a thing, way back in the 90s, you're basically dealing with a bunch of angry, pissed off Quake players
Yeah.
and the like. And I forget which game first had DLC made available to it, but I remember there being kind of muted outrage about it. I mean, outrage was there, but then everyone bought it anyway.
They were too big of fans.
And fast forward nearly 20 years, and people are getting butthurt about stuff they've already been paying for nearly 20 years. Like,
I mean, well, then again, the first console system to incorporate DLC was the Dreamcast. Yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
yep.
Apparently, the first major game to release downloadable content, given it was free but it was still DLC, was Total Annihilation, a real-time strategy on the PC.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're more curious about the first paid DLC.
First paid DLC probably wasn't until the 2000s. Looks like it was Stardock in 2001.
Never heard of it.
Well, okay. I'm definitely feeling what you're saying, but here's where I kind of wonder if there's a slight difference, is that we're talking about like the original day of when DLC was coming out, where you had to actually download it, and for the most part it was still new content to a game. You call it expansion pack, whatever at that point. But here's the thing that always kind of worries me, and I know you gave a pretty decent explanation, but even still, I kind of have to look back at Street Fighter X Tekken, which was pretty much a fine example of how not to do on-disc DLC. Because all it was just a bunch of costumes that didn't even eventually get sold. I mean, shit, there were two characters that was well in there. What was it? The original NES Mega Man and Pac-Man?
Wow, really?
No, they were both made available. I think.
No, you had to
exclusives.
crack the game in order to get it, if I remember correctly.
Well, the other thing that you also have to keep in mind, and I know what I'm about to say is just going to fly right in the face of what everybody knows and loves and has a bloody shrine in the corner of their man cave to, but people like Gabe Newell really are not so much the inventors, but the enablers of DLC systems.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, prior to Steam, the program, like, if you wanted to get DLC for your game, you had to use a proprietary system that the game company or the game distributor had set up beforehand.
Yeah.
And that was just money that you weren't sure you were willing to commit. Enter Gabe Newell, where he basically provided a system, a platform, if you will, which made the bridge between development and consumer that much easier. So if we really truly want to, point the finger at somebody and say it's your damn fault that there's, jokes like the Aladdin Prince Ali, filking of DLC, point at people like Gabe Newell.
Well, shit. Point at the precursors. Point at the Sega Channel. Point at GameLine.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone remember the Sega Channel? Does anyone remember the X-Band modem that you could get on your Sega Genesis?
I do. I had one of those things.
Like,
Really?
I had one of those things to play Mortal Kombat with.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play Mortal Kombat with other human players, and it ended up being just
It was
big
pile.
bullshit.
Yeah, it was a big stink. It was a hot mess.
It was a big pile of bullshit. But these services, I mean, like, GameLine went as far back as the Atari 2600, and it allowed you to download. They didn't provide DLC, but they provided you games that you could download for the system.
Wow.
Well,
And I mean, we're talking like way back. But you can even point at those as being the precursors to the DLC era, the downloadable content.
The problem, though, with that statement is I feel like DLC is a child of the Internet 2.0. And
Sure.
by that, I mean the Internet that Al Gore gave birth to.
Law.
Yes, I went there.
Internet is a series of tubes.
It's, you know, unless, you know, prior to that, if, you know, your average Tom, Dick, and Jane did not know jack diddly about BBSs, about Telnet, about anything like that. And, you know, you know, names like Captain Crunch to them were just a breakfast cereal.
Well, sure.
It is to
And-
me.
Get out.
Hey, dude, we're old.
Okay.
You want to run with the big boys, you got to know the history. I'm sorry.
Teach me, senpai.
Do you really want Senpai to notice you? Do you really want Senpai to notice you?
I didn't say notice me. I said teach me.
I have to notice you and teach you, sir.
I don't know. I know plenty of teachers who don't.
But I mean,
Law, public education.
Anyways.
we can go all the way through time and talk about the Dreamcast and the narrowband and not really having much DLC available. I mean, the DLC stuff on the Dreamcast was like, you know, new costumes and shit.
Yeah.
There was nothing like worth putting money into, really.
Well, right. But it was a case of they provided a means and somebody saw it and saw a means of producing revenue.
Yep.
Sure,
And
but like
that's all it takes.
the big pinch, like the real start on DLC becoming standard was the Xbox with Microsoft and Xbox Live. They had DLC available for Splinter Cell, the original Splinter Cell, Halo
Right.
2, Ninja
Right.
Gaiden, etc.,
Yep.
etc.
Yep.
And it isn't Gabe Newell's lunch you should be eating on that one. I mean, this shit was when Bill Gates was still at the head of Microsoft.
Well, right, but you recognize that we're talking about for a console, where again you have to deal with things like the game being, you know, the game is already being compiled.
Of course.
What more we can add to the to the engine itself or to the infrastructure
It's
itself
very limited.
is extremely limited.
It's very
Uh,
limited.
It's not until you get to the PC where things start to get interesting and revenue starts to become a very viable possibility.
Sure, but I mean, DLC distribution on the PC originally was
I mean-
more like separate install files. Like, you didn't have to deal with anyone's fucking proprietary systems or anything. You could download files off of their website and literally just double click them and they would install to whatever directory you had it installed to.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've said this point pretty long at this time. They were kind of getting a bit too much into it.
Yeah, to be fair, and we do at least have two other people that do want to call in.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, man, thanks for calling in and giving
Yep.
us some some
Yeah.
education, senpai.
You don't want me to notice you. You really don't.
River wants you to
Wow.
notice him.
River does not understand talk.
River doesn't know what he's asking for.
Okay.
Alrighty. So let's see. All right, that's it with Ikari. So looks like Liam wants to join in next, as is tradition.
Look forward to it.
It's funny because we just saw that episode of South Park. Oh man. And now we wait for Liam to answer, as is tradition.
Right?
Hey,
Liam has picked up the Skype answer.
And
as
the
is
arm
tradition.
is off.
screw off. Yeah, but I actually kind of want to. I had a couple things. You guys brought up a lot of stuff, and you know what I kind of want to talk about?
Sure
I
thing.
want to talk about the Resident Evil 2 remake and how I think it's a horrible idea.
Really?
Now, I'm going to explain. I have a bit of explaining. I said the same thing about the Final Fantasy VII remake because when you're remaking a game that's almost, if not more than 20 years old, you can't really just upscale it anymore. You have to rebuild it all from scratch.
Well, of
And
course.
Okay.
Considering the fact that game budgets have gotten as big as they have, I mean, now you like you said, like look at Resident Evil 2. You can't reuse any of those environments. You can't reuse the code. You can't even reuse the sound. You have to do it all over again. And you can't rely on the techniques like I know Resident Evil 2, they used 2D backgrounds rather than actually 3D environments. That's the same thing that Final Fantasy VII used.
Sure.
And you can't do that. You have to rebuild all of that in 3D, render it all in HD, and you have to fill it with people, NPCs, small details. And you're thinking, well, they're small details, but in the gaming world, small details can add up, and that makes your budget bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's still going to be a smaller affair than creating a game from scratch because you still have all of the development done. You just need to program it all.
Well, the problem with no, I have to redo it all because like the reason something like the reason the recent remake of Resident Evil they were able to make that is because Shinji's remake on the GameCube is fucking brilliant, even without the HD. It's honestly probably in my eyes the best, well, probably the best video game remake ever.
Sure.
Because he reinvented it, and I think the problem is like I said, even without the HD, it's still a phenomenal game, and I think that, you know, you don't really have a base to work with, so you have to redo it all.
I
And
don't
considering that all
know.
the talent,
Like you said,
serious.
they just remade Resident Evil on the HD. They could easily use that as a base and put the Resident Evil 2 assets in HD textures and stuff.
Well,
based
keep in
on that
mind
remake.
that it's like when you look at Final Fantasy VII, I keep bringing that up. When you look at that, you can't really remake all that. You have to redo it all.
Well,
You
yeah.
think back, you know, like if anyone remembers Oddworld New and Tasty.
I've never been too familiar with the Oddworld series.
Well, all I know is that game they didn't actually like go back and take the code. They rebuilt all of it, and it cost a lot of money.
Well, sure,
It's one of those.
and I can see that because we're talking about games that were released back in like fucking PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
I mean, no questions asked, they're going to have to recreate everything from the ground up, which in its own right, doesn't that actually kind of add to the appeal of this remake?
Well, I think the problem is that we live in a very nostalgia heavy, you know, like everyone is like obsessed with nostalgia products, you know, with film, video games, that kind of thing. And I think the problem with nostalgia is when you go back and look at the games you grew up with, you kind of look at them like, oh shit, these haven't aged well at all. I mean, I remember when I played the remake for the GameCube Resident Evil. I loved that. I went back and played the PS1 game. Oh god. Oh god.
What do you mean it hasn't aged well?
It's
Stop it! Don't open that door!
fucking box art is basically the Evil Dead that tries to sell itself like a serious horror film. It's fucking amazing. I hope this is not Chris's blood. You know what I mean? It's like, honestly, I like a lot of the games I grew up with. I play them again. I'm like, oh god. You know, and I think that. And I think if you're gonna do a remake, you know, like go do what that Resident Evil remake did. Make it in a way that makes the original fans happy, but do it in a way that leaves it open for other people. Because I don't like JRPGs, and I think if they do that, you know, if you remake a game in a way that I didn't like, but if you can remake it in a way that I can get into, then you've won an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fair. Now, you said you had a couple other things you wanted to bring up as well.
I had a couple other things. I had a It's one of those things that yeah, I remember shit, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I remember reading about what Del Toro said, and I'm just coming as a huge film buff. I love the man, but I'm kind of happy he's not doing video games because I think his demented passion kind of hinders him a bit. Because I swear to God, when he got Pacific Rim, he was like, I want to make this, and he did. So, you know, and I think the problem with I don't really think it's a good idea for a filmmaker to go into video games because as a major film buff myself, video games and films are very different.
Oh, no doubt.
Like, really different. Like, and I don't just mean like I mean like 3-act structure in video games doesn't even exist. It really doesn't because you know it's tough for me to actually break it down and have to have flow charts and shit and like 3 months of research. So
I don't.
It's one of those things that What?
I don't think that'll be necessary for this show tonight.
Yeah, but I just think that I think Del Toro. You know what, Del Toro, stick to films. I love you, man, but you know, I know you love video games, but making a video game and playing a video game are two completely different things. Yeah.
That's fair. I still think I'd love to see him try something independent.
I would love to see him do something though, because I think the man's got a wonderful imagination.
Oh,
if
dude.
you've seen any of his fucking movies?
He could go the distance with horror genre. Like,
Well, he did. I mean, have you seen? He made a whole bunch of Mexican films in his early career. He made Pan's Labyrinth, which is which is a fairy tale that's basically a horror film.
I
Have
don't
you
know.
ever seen that movie?
I've seen bits and pieces when River here put it on TV, and I always have to kind of really pay attention when we're talking about subbed movies. Like, I tend to get turned off on them sometimes.
Yeah, it is considering he's Mexican, that was pretty much his passion project. And,
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I think it's one of the, like, I think the man has imagination. I wanted to see him do something. I just think that keep him strictly in, like, the art department. Don't give him, like, the keys to the car, because I seriously think, as much as I love him, his demented passion can get the better of him.
That's fair. Like,
Yeah.
still though, I think I can totally see him, like, you know, taking the keys and just running with the horror genre in video gaming.
You know,
That would be fucking awesome.
I've had this fantasy, and I don't think it'll happen. I want to see him bring Kojima on for Pacific Rim 2, just have him be a screenwriter or something.
No, but then we
I
start
will-
getting into some weird, like, conspiracy theory crap where, like, the government secretly was bringing kaijus over all along.
I would fucking kill to be in that screenwriting room. The amount of cocaine, drugs, alcohol,
Nanomachines.
prostitutes. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
man.
god. Well, yeah, but that's I don't really have much. I mean, you guys talked about a video game crash, and you know that's,
Yeah, you were going off about that. Was there anything you wanted to
I
kind of
think
chime in?
Yeah, I was gonna chime in. I think the reason what did you said the indies and crowdfunding is causing the crash?
Yeah, I guess to kind of narrow it down, that sort of has been the fear of what would cause the crash, and what I was saying is I think the Steam refund policy has helped kind of delay the crash.
My problem with I think the crash comes from the fact that we have companies spending too much money on things that don't need it. You know, like that's why E.T. and Pac-Man were such colossal failures. Atari spent too much money on a game they knew wasn't really good, and they pushed it anyway, and it didn't pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to happen in this day. We have companies spending God knows how much money at this point. I mean, I said, like, you were wondering what the budget of the Phantom Pain. It's $80 million.
Yep.
$80 million. So, you know, you got a company spending that kind of money on something, and you got Grand Theft Auto 5 with a $250 million budget. You got Destiny with a $500 million budget. God knows where that went.
Well, how about Star Wars: The Old Republic that had $500 million in advertising alone?
Oh, it was like a $200 million advertising budget. I don't know how much the actual game cost.
Yeah,
was
that
it the millions? I thought it was
yeah.
the billions.
might have been a $1 billion
they did not spend
budget
anything like that on
altogether.
that game. No. $1 billion was not spent on that game because it would be honestly, if it would, it'd be probably the most expensive entertainment product ever.
I doubt $1 billion was made on the game.
Well, to be fair, it does show that $1 billion hasn't been spent, but I had to ask anyway because that's something I recall hearing.
But I seriously think if anything is the crash, it's just companies that spend too much money, and I think that's kind of why I like indies so much. They don't cost a lot of money. They cost a quarter of the price of what you spend on an expensive game. And I think that even though the audience is limited, there's an audience for that. I'd rather have a game that like laser focuses its audience rather than one that just tries to appeal to everyone and then appeals to no one.
That's a fair point, but allow me to counter real quick because part of the reason why I do have a little more fear of the independent scene lately is because what initially caused the first crash was just a complete flood in the video game market of just stuff that nobody knew if it was good or bad, so nobody decided to spend money on this. And we're reaching that point again with a lot of independent games, especially if we're starting to get into the whole scene where all these people, where allegedly, I'm not naming names, but allegedly where some people are paying for good reviews. In fact, we have covered a few stories like that.
Oh god.
I don't think.
I'm just saying, like, something like that would definitely lead to a crash.
I don't
History
think
will
it's
repeat
gonna
itself if
work.
this action keeps going.
The big difference between now and then is now we have the internet, we have social media, we have YouTube, we have personalities on YouTube who go and take the effort of looking at these new popular indie titles and will actually do an in-depth analysis on them and tell people honestly whether they're quality or not. We have so many outlets now to find out whether something is worth our money or not. There's almost no way to pull the wool over people's eyes in the indie scene.
yeah, it's impossible. Like that's kind of why. I mean, you bring back those old games. Keep in mind, a lot of those games, like porn game. Oh, cell phone's going off. Sorry about that.
Oh shit, he got caught.
Yeah. Shit. But yeah, I think like keep in mind a lot of those were like porn games and like really sleazy shit.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I just think for me, I mean, I don't know why. For me, I'm a guy who looks for new, fresh things, and really, indie games are the only place I'm getting those anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I've
give you
always
that.
been a man who gravitates towards the game that has the weirder shit, the strange gameplay, you know what I mean? It's probably why I liked Oddworld so much as a kid.
I still haven't played any of the Oddworld games. I need to.
Play New and Tasty, that's pretty much the only one you ever have to play.
Which
Okay.
one?
New and tasty.
New and Tasty, it's the remake of Abe's Odyssey. And
Okay.
Yeah.
The Abe's Exodus does have a really good story.
Oh, it does, and they might actually, and since New and Tasty was a success, they might remake that one too.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of feeling bad that Deg hasn't had a chance to say anything. Was there anything you want to kind of say with Deg?
Not really. I don't really have any new thoughts on the topic.
I
No,
just
that's
think
fair. I mean, we do kind of revisit this an awful lot, but it keeps coming up again.
I just think everything is sort of like, I get it. The industry's not clean, and it's probably never going to be clean. I mean, you know, the film industry's been around for 100 years, and that shit ain't clean. Trust me, I'm a film buff. You have no idea how dirty the fucking film business
Oh,
is.
I was just reading up about the Adam Sandler process.
Yeah. You know what? Just to go off topic for a second, you know, people say, critics like me, oh, we're just snobs. I'll tell you what, if we had it our way, he would not have a fucking job in this industry. He wouldn't.
Yeah.
So him succeeding proves what we say does not matter.
Yeah.
It is
Damn.
proof.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But yeah, I just think that it's I just think that I think you know what, we can't make the industry clean. Let's just enjoy what we have. Let's enjoy the games we play. Let's just have fun. Like whatever I play, whatever you play, as long as we're happy, who gives a shit?
Alrighty. Well, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
Good
problem,
call
man.
in. Have a good night.
Hey, thanks for calling in, as is
Thank you.
tradition.
All right.
What a glorious day for the good game guys, and therefore the rest of the world.
As is tradition. With that said, let's go ahead and get over to our last caller for the moment, Dublin. And let's see what he's got to say. Hey, Dublin.
Howdy.
Oh, you might want to turn down your microphone a little bit.
Oh shit, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I must have adjusted it for something or another.
No, that's cool. While you go ahead and do that, remember, folks, if you two want to go ahead and call in, we probably have enough time for one more person after Dublin. So if you want to call in, voice your opinion on anything that we've talked about, hit us up at our Skype account at GoodGameGuys1.
Okay, how's that?
That's good.
Okay. Now, I live in Alabama, and I play probably more League of Legends than I should.
Okay.
And one day I got bored, and I decided to test a weird little theory of mine where I played a game on the NA servers, and then I went and just made a brand new account on the EU West servers.
Okay.
And I played a game on that account and was really discomforted to find that there was really not much difference between the lag. It was like a discrepancy of maybe 10.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, like, from just a personal standpoint, like, the server move is a really good thing for me. I can understand why there are a lot of people upset about it, but, like, yeah, stabilize the fucking ping. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have comparable ping in another fucking country.
Yeah, that's their goal, is to get the average ping down below 80 ms. That's a good move for them.
Yeah. But you know, it's at the moment it's really just like a band-aid. Like Riot's been pointing out, like there's actually a lot of shit that they need to fix.
Yeah,
like
they call it a tech debt.
Hell, didn't we run into an issue when we were streaming League of Legends? Like our
I
final
think,
match?
like looking back, I think that might have been the Windows 10 memory leak issue.
That's fair.
Slowing everything else down.
That's fair, but it is still something that has occurred even before I've upgraded to 10 itself, so unless there was a leak in 7 I wasn't aware of.
Oh, they've had DDoS and drop hack issues before, but for the most part, they do as much as in their power to prevent those things.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do much else aside from have some kind of drone that drone that targets people and shoots them down anytime they take up more than their fair share of bandwidth. Even then, I don't think that would work.
That would result in a lot of deaths, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Riot has even, like, they've come forth and said, like, we, like, just the server location, having all the servers in the west of the U.S., that's only, like, a bit of it. Like, their like, net framework is shit. They need to go through and fix that shit, and they're working on that. Bunch of other crap I can't even remember.
They've got spaghetti code to pull apart. They've still got a new game, client to ship out. I think they still have some servers to put. They've got a lot of things to work on in the back end that they've been waiting way too long to get done.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a few weeks past they finally got their website set up for their new lore. Like, that's been a long time coming.
And we're still going through the whole long process of getting a bunch of Season 1 character reworks.
Well, yeah, that's a design thing, not so much a tech thing.
Sorta, when we start getting into the rework kits and such.
They've said it themselves. It is a design. That is something for design debt and not a tech debt.
They can say it all they want. It's still some technicalities that work into it.
Yeah, you don't.
That's my word.
The balance and the way a character works has nothing to do with the back-end game engine and the servers running. It's like, Teemo could be broken and fun to play against for fucking ever. That's not gonna fix the fact that they have servers on the West Coast that make the East Coast have to go to Europe for servers, and a client that still uses Adobe Air and causes a myriad of bugs. Like, you've seen it every time the game patches. They always have some bug as a result. So they have to pull apart their spaghetti code and find out what's causing that. They want to work so they don't have to work as hard to fix every bug that comes out with the launch of a new patch.
Yeah, if you ever want a good laugh, like, actually go, like, when a champion is disabled, go and look into why that champion was recently disabled. It is always hilarious.
Those are fun.
Like there was one time a champion got disabled because she could throw jungle minions into inaccessible areas of the jungle and render that camp useless for the rest of the game.
Oh, no,
because it never reset.
No, my favorite was one, again, without naming characters, where the character that had a short-range pole that he can use, if he used it at the exact same time that he was teleporting back to base, he could pull the people all the way back to his base with him and auto-kill them.
I've seen that one. It's horrifying.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
They took that out?
Yeah, they took that out.
They're not the company that decides it's not a bug, it's a feature. They're the people that decides, oh shit, that's a bug, we better fix that.
I don't know. I would say leave it in there. Just make it really hard to time.
To be fair, I think it kind of was already to begin with.
Well, then what's the problem?
But I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see the team and the developers are growing. I mean, I saw a comment from the forums recently that says an Invoker-style champion isn't out of the question now. So, yay on that.
You would never hear the end of players bitching about that. Well, eventually you would, but just it would take a while.
Eventually.
Yeah, I don't want to get into I don't want to get too much into that right now.
That's for
Yeah,
when we do
like
LOL streams.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just needs straight up hardware fixing when it comes to League. Not even going into the like the character design shit. Like I still don't know what to make of this juggernaut mess that's going on.
I still don't know what
But-
the hell's going on there. Like, I just understand there's one character that now has a secondary objective.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's a good solution for the melee style characters. It's another way to give them something to do that doesn't make them outclassed by ranged characters. We'll see how it pans out when it actually launches.
Yeah. All I know is I've heard some change notes and they make me uncomfortable.
Don't most
Change
change
is-
notes do that?
Change is always uncomfortable.
I'm fine with change notes. Usually, some of these things sounded really scary.
Is it about Brazil's numero uno, son?
That is the tip of the iceberg, but holy shit, they're making Mordekaiser very weird now.
Oh, man. Alright, well, was there anything else you want to go ahead and chime in about?
No, that's pretty much. I pretty much got everything out of the way.
Alright, right on.
All right,
Well,
take care, fam.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, fam.
Thank you very much for calling, sir.
Anytime.
Alrighty, doesn't look like we have anybody else that wants to join in. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into our last little lighthearted story, which is
Alright.
funny as fuck. So, what wound up happening during this week, and I missed the opportunity because because when it was announced I had the chance to see it, but for reasons I'll get into, I couldn't. So 7 minutes of Fallout 4's footage, gameplay footage, like in-game content, stuff like that, was leaked on Pornhub.
Because it was a convenient file hosting site that wouldn't have been looked at immediately for
It's
this footage.
pretty much.
It's since been taken down.
Yeah, it has been taken down, but Dag, didn't you still kind of find like a re-upload of that?
Yeah, I actually saw the footage that was up, and giggles were had.
Was there...
I think the user upload feature is the best thing to ever happen to Pornhub.
Ah, okay. I thought you meant, like, about the gameplay itself. See, I'm curious as to what was new, what was shown.
It just showed more of what we've already seen. I didn't get a chance to do a full-scale analysis of it. I just
Gotcha.
glanced at it and thought, huh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Especially since you're seeing like a bunch of fucking dildo ads on the side for it.
Yeah.
Pretty
Oh
much.
god,
Yeah.
I can imagine there's gonna be a dildo company out there right now that's gonna make a Mr. Handy,
Oh,
like fucking pleasure
Yeah.
toy out there.
I'm still waiting for the people at the Pride Parade to put out that ISIS flag mockery.
oh yeah. That was-
Like, I would fly that shit on my house. Just for the
Oh man.
lulz.
yeah.
I love how CNN aired that like they thought it was real.
Yeah.
It's like you can just glance at that and recognize that's not a language.
Yeah.
That's a butt plug.
Are those beads? What are beads doing? Uh-oh.
Oh man, but yeah, like I had the chance to see it, but unfortunately, I kind of had a very judgmental relative over,
Oh, of course.
and you know that just kind of made things awkward since she was kind of already hovering over the shoulder. I'm like, shit, I'll have to watch this later.
Oh, lol.
And then
When
they
it was
fucking
gone.
remove it, yeah. So god damn it. Oh fucking hell. So at least it doesn't sound like there wasn't too much new to it all. I mean, as Dag pointed out, it seemed like more of what we kind of already knew.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, at best, it's a taste for people who want to see footage of the game that hasn't been prepared for the general audience.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm really curious about is what was the source? Like, where did that video... Who created that video?
The
Yeah.
video came from someone who was invited to this private screening of the Fallout 4 footage in from Bethesda. It's not said if it was an investor, one of the programmers, or what. Of course, they're not going to say who they are.
How could you say that it could be an investor? I don't see how the fucking investor would go as far as to release the footage on fucking Pornhub.
If they send a
I
representative,
don't know how they could show it to an investor if the game's already pretty much finished at this point.
Well, again, it doesn't. It was just a closed door meeting at Bethesda about Fallout 4. It doesn't say who was there,
Well, that's fair,
what they
yeah.
were doing.
Probably like behind the scenes reviewers / press.
Yeah,
That sounds
yeah.
more likely.
we'll never know who this person is.
But they've done a service.
By giving us the greatest pornographic video out there.
Right, hidden camera shows audience teased by Big Butt Man in tight live.
Oh,
It's the name
man.
of the video on Pornhub.
Sounds like something.
Small white man in charge of development of video games tells you sweet little lies.
Oh,
And on
God.
that note,
Yeah, on that note, let's go ahead and get out of here. Oh, man. So, this is Dr. Captain.
I am the loud kid.
I'm dead.
And I'm the NPC.
This is everybody here at the Good Game Guy saying, good game, everyone.
Oh my god, it's so
Good
fucking
game,
hot.
game,
I'm done.
game, good.